So hello, we are back today with the third in our series of the super easy bag tutorials, and today we are working on Bag Lady. So this is the original version or this patchwork version, regardless of which one you have. The process is more or less the same. So let's get started on that guy. Let me show you the pieces that you are going to need to have ready to work on this bag. So the bag itself is constructed from 3 pieces: a bag front, and then a second one that's a bag back, and the bottom piece. So those are the things that I have cut out from my patchwork. Same as the other bags, I'm working all with the same denim patchwork. That's a cheater cloth from the Denim and Daisies collection. If you want to know more about that, look back through the other bag videos for a maximum amount of information on all 3 videos. But I have basically taken the cheater cloth and I have my friend Susan quilted it up for me, and I cut it, the front of the bag, the back, and the bottom from that cheater cloth. So those are my bag pieces. And then I've already prepped the 2 strap handle pieces. Again, if you want to know more about how to make your own straps, then refer to, I believe it's the second in the series that we did, the Kimberly sack, so that you can see the process of making your own bag straps. But these are thicker and wider here in this one, and all the information for the sizes on these guys are in the Bag Lady pattern. This is just basically showing you all the different components that you will need to get started. So that's going to be my 2 handles. And then I have basically it's the template sheet and the pattern, and I've cut out my 4 little tabs out of the craft text paper. Again, look through all of the videos for all the information on the craft text paper and the cheater cloth patchwork and how to make straps. Each video gives you a little bit more information on bag making in general, so it's a good idea to watch all 3. On this one, we've got the 4 tabs, and we're doing these giant, basically like elbow, they look like old-fashioned elbow patches, and they're going to go on the bottom of the bag on each side, right here and here. So this is one of them, and then this is the other. I've already cut that out for myself, so that I'm all ready with that. And then the last piece here is the pocket. This is the pocket square, and where it says to line up, to curve the edges, the easiest way to do that for me is I eyeball it. I fold it in half so that they're both the same. And then if I felt uncertain, you could use the side of anything that's circular. So you could put, a little spool on there. You could put basically anything and trace around anything that's circular on there. But as long as you fold them, they're both going to be the same on the pocket. So I'm literally just going to take that and I'm going to, there you go. So no need to follow the template specifically. You can basically you're looking for a pocket that's going to be straight on the top and that's going to have a little bit of a rounded edges. So that's all ready to go now. So in our next step, I'm going to basically show you what it's going to look like when I put together these 3 pieces and get it ready for adding of the little additions. So let me go do that and then we'll be back. Okay, so I've sewn the 3 pieces together, and because I'm cheating a little bit by having this pre-quilted ahead of time so that I don't have to quilt it now, I do have to decide what I'm going to do with these seams, because if you were quilting it now, you would just put the lining over the whole thing and these wouldn't be showing. But this is the one downside of having it done beforehand, but it was just so wonderful to have that pre-quilted that I'm just going to take it. So I could basically leave this as is. I could press it open. I could zigzag or seam stitch that closed, or I can just bind it. And so because these are wider seams, you're going to need a wider piece of binding. This is not in the pattern because I'm kind of working, outside of the pattern with the pre-quilted pieces. So I cut this 3 inches, and I'm just going to basically put it on here like I would binding in a 3-inch piece. It should pretty much cover me exactly, and I'll have nicely finished binding pieces here on the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do next. And once I've done that, and that's all finished for me, then I'm going to continue on with the pattern. And I'm going to, as you can see, it doesn't matter to me that these are not lining up because it's a patchwork. It's clearly cut from a single piece of fabric. So that's going to be the bottom of my bag, and it's just going to be down there, and it's not going to matter. You're barely going to ever see it, if at all. So that does not bother me one bit. It would take a little bit of machination to get that all lined up. But so that's going to be my bottom, and I'm going to, once it's bound inside, I'm going to go ahead and top stitch it with the folds inside as stated in the pattern. And then once I have that done, then I'll be ready to line up my patches and my pocket. So that will be the next step, and I'll be back in a second. Well, maybe a minute. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly show you guys what this would look like if you used a pre-quilted piece like I am, and not if you're following the quilted lining method in the pattern. I just basically did 2 pieces of binding back here, and then I top stitched it twice on each side so that this is nice and solid. If you could feel it, because of this extra seam going in and the quilted, it's really a nice solid inside. And so the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to center and add these guys to the sides, and following all the pattern instructions and all the craft text tips that I've given you in the bag tutorials. And then we're going to take the pocket. We're going to figure out which one of these is going to be our front and which one's going to be the back. And we're going to go ahead and follow the directions on the pattern in terms of placement, and we're going to add the pocket. I might actually even add a little decorative detail on that guy. So I'm going to do those 2 things, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've sewn the elbow patches, as I like to call them, one side. I basically found the middle point of this, found the middle point of my bottom, marked it with a friction pin, and then clipped it and sewed around. And I did the same thing on this side, and I'm going to leave a few of the clips on there for right now so nothing shifts over. And then I centered and actually I zigzagged, you can see I zigzagged my pocket. And if I like I mentioned in one of the other videos, in terms of working with craft text, instead of just clipping the threads, I pulled them to the inside and I actually knotted them. So I'm going to clip those, and then I'm going to turn the whole thing. Actually, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to add my handles next. All right, stay tuned for that. Okay, here we are at the next step. I've basically taken my handles and I've positioned them according to the instructions in the pattern, and I've clipped them on this side, or I've pinned them. Same thing on the other side, and I've kind of done a check. I left my handles a little bit longer this time. I have one with the handles a little bit shorter, and I like that, but I figured if I'm gonna have another bag, I made them a little bit longer. So now I'm going to basically secure these on here, and then I'm going to turn the whole bag inside out. That's not true, actually. I'm going to secure them, and I'm going to add my tabs. So that's a decorative element, but it's much easier to do while your bag is flat. So I'm going to add those to the bottoms of each side. I'm going to cover it up a little bit and kind of decide where, you know, it could go all the way up here. It could go all the way down there. It depends on, you can decide where you want it. Then I'm going to clip my threads and fold the whole bag inside. And there's one spot that you really want it to match, and that's where your 2 elbow patches come together. So you really want to make sure that you've lined that up well and that you clip them. I mean, you can pin it on the fabric. Once you get to the craft text, just use clips, and then hopefully your bottom matches up as well. This one does, so we're good to go. I can take those guys out, but I'm going to pin the fabric and I'm going to clip this. This is the most important part here. And then I'm going to sew up the bottom or the sides on each side to finish up my bag. And then when we're done with that, okay, here's the finished bag. A couple of things. So when I sewed up the sides, I had, again, because I did my little cheater panel, I had the opportunity to bind up my sides. You can do that, or I'll show you here on the bottom where I clipped my corners. I just left that, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zigzag that shut. I'm not going to struggle through binding that guy, but you of course could. That's my corner, and shown you on the other bag tutorials how to make the box corner, so I'm not going to do it again here. Again, for all of the bag info, I really would watch all three so that you can kind of see all the hints and tips. But these are what the handles look like here. I did the X here and then the tab on it. You have the option of finishing this inside or just zigzagging it. And here's your finished bag. These corners fold up. They literally give the bag a lot of structure and create these fantastic corner pieces here. And then on the front, there's the pocket. I actually added a little decorative stitch to that guy as well on this one. So that's basically finishing up the bag. Like I said, you've got the optional binding on the inside. You can elongate or shorten these straps. You can kind of decide how far down or up you want to put these little tabs. You have the pocket right here in the middle, and you've got these fabulous elbow patches. If you don't want to use the craft text here, you 100% could use corduroy or wool. If you were to use corduroy, I would recommend turning it under on this outside part when sewing it together so that you've got a nice finished edge. But that would look so cool. Also, like Grandpa's old sweater. Wool you could use. You could obviously use leather as well. Or you could omit them and just have a tote bag that has just this and this. And if you don't want to have to do that there. But I really like, I don't know if you can kind of feel and see like how it sounds, that this is thick and heavy, and it gives the bag structure and so much charm. So hopefully you've enjoyed these 3 bag tutorials, and this is the last set of the 3. The other ones were called Denim Patchwork Bag and Kimberly's Bag Revisited, or Kimberly's Sack Revisited. And between those 3, you can kind of see all the various techniques that I use to make these very simple basic bags. And as you become more of a bag expert, there's all kinds of things you can do. You can add pockets to the insides. You can add fancier hardware. You can create different sizes and shapes. But I thought with these 3 basic tutorials, you can be on your way to making your own bags from quilted fabric. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you so much for joining me.